Bobby Fischer, Garry Kasparov. If these names aren't familiar to you, then you probably aren't a fan of chess. But what do these names have in common? These grandmasters, to name a few, have played multiple chess games at the same time. Garry has played against 30 players at the same time, Fischer has played 50, and Mark Lang has played a record of 34 games simultaneously, while being blindfolded. At this point, you're probably wondering, what does this have to do with the idea of genius? Or that genius is a God-given innate talent that only the chosen ones possess. But in this video, you're about to see why that has been debunked. It turns out that genius isn't some elusive trait after all, and that everyone has that genius in them. An experiment was conducted among grandmasters and novice players in the 1960s, where an image of a chessboard would flash before the participant for a few seconds. Then, participants had to recreate the board to the best of his or her ability. At first, participants were showed an image of a realistic chessboard for a few seconds, something they would encounter in a real game of chess. The discrepancy was very large when recreating the board. Grandmasters could recreate the positions very accurately, while novice players could only recreate them to a limited extent. Now, here's where it gets interesting. The participants were then flashed a chessboard of random chess pieces. This time around, the gap between the grandmasters and novices shrank by a lot, and in some cases was eliminated entirely. Next, the chess pieces flashed were replaced by random shapes instead of your regular chess pieces, and the discrepancy shrank even further. Finally, when participants were asked to recreate random shapes without a chessboard, there was no gap between the grandmasters and novices. Turns out grandmasters are great because of their mental representations towards chess. Replace chess with just about any other skill, and you'll find similar results. Why? Because genius is a result of a brain process called chunking. For example, when learning to play the guitar, beginners often begin with chords like C, G, and D. Each chord feels awkward and complex. However, after some practice, your brain starts to group these finger positions and see them as a single unit or a chunk. Over time, your chunks get larger and larger as your brain starts to process information related to guitars at a higher speed. This is basically the idea of expertise. Knowing this, how can you apply this when mastering a craft? Firstly, break down your skill into smaller chunks. If you're learning to dribble a basketball, break it up into smaller chunks like crossovers and behind the backs. Focus on each chunk and be patient with it. Repetition will help your brain group it in a chunk. Next, try to draw correlations between other chunks and see if there's a meaningful pattern between them. If you find it difficult to master a chunk, try another method of learning, or learn another chunk before coming back to this one. You'll find that many times these chunks have skills that are interconnected and can help you with mastery. I hope this has changed your approach on how to reach mastery level on your chosen craft. Try it, and I guarantee it'll change the way you improve. Countless hours are still necessary, but with a direction, this would fall under deliberate practice. 10,000 hours of deliberate practice, and you'll be a genius in your field. As always, don't forget to like and subscribe, as it helps the channel a lot.